Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. My name is Sir Link-a-Lot, as I like to link a lot. Linking is a fun and easy way to remember things by trying to find a connection, a link. And it is a great way to help with your spelling. It is fantastic. It's tremendous for spelling. Before I start today's lesson, I've got, again, they just keep coming, they won't stop, they just keep coming. I've got two shout-outs. Two shout-outs. The first one is from 9-year-old Sophie for the spelling of a really difficult word, but a tremendous word to use. Recommend. I recommend you do this. I recommend you use Sir Link-a-Lot to help your spelling, alright? In fact, forget recommending. I'm telling you, get on it, alright? Get on Sir Link-a-Lot. Recommend. That's a really hard word for the C's and the M's and what's after the C. Recommend. It could be R-E-C-K-E-R-M-E-N-D. I mean, you know, it could be anything. But it's a really good word. There's a prefix re, like I commend you, I'll give you credit for that, I commend you, I acknowledge your good work, I recommend that you do this, I suggest you do something. Recommend, really, really hard word. This is Sophie's work. It could actually be better than mine. In fact, let's have a chat about that in a second. So, she said, inside the word recommend is eco, E-C-O, then M for Mother Nature, M for Mother Nature, then the word mend. And she said, I recommend you buy things that are eco-friendly or use things that are eco-friendly. Do it for Mother Nature so we can mend the planet. So I recommend eco-friendly things, eco-friendly, do it for Mother Nature, M for Mother Nature, then to mend the planet at the end, mend. That's really good. That is a tremendous clappity clap, two-finger ripple. So good, Sophie. Really good. Sophie comes from the Greek for sophisticated. Sophie, sophisticated, like Sophocles is a Greek philosopher. So Sophie means like sophisticated. How cool is that? Check it. So sophisticated is S-O-P-H-I at the start. Like Sophie, S-O-P-H-I-E. That's a really good link. Really good. Now, is it better than mine? What do you think? Maybe hers will go up on the app and she'll put mine, get rid of mine and kick it into a cocked hat. Out you go, Sir Link-a-Lot, mate. Move on, mate, move on. Check me out. Sophie's in town. All right. So what do you think? Over to my link, which I think is pretty good, but maybe not. Check it out. Recommend. The C-O-M-M of the word recommend matches the C-O-M-M of the word comma. Mrs. Fox is not a happy English teacher. The punctuation in your homework was appalling. I recommend from now on using more commas and full stops. So what do you think? Whose is better? Doesn't matter. Pick the one that works for you. But I have to think about this. Don't know whether it's See, with mine, you've got to remember just one thing, comma. C-O-M-M, comma. That's it. Hers is 3 bits, but it's a really good message. That's a difficult one. Tough call. I think one day there'll be a way on the app where you can have both of them up there. Then you pick the one that works for you. But Sophie. Sorry, I've just realised I've called you Sophie. Your name is Sophia. You must get that all the time. I'm so sorry. So Link-a-Lot, that's rubbish. You're rubbish, mate. You're hopeless. Rubbish. It's not one of those. No, one of those. Come on, Sir Link-a-Lot. Stop. Everyone calls me Sophie. It's Sophia. All right, Sophia. I'm so sorry. It's rubbish. Anyway, great work. Really, really good. The next shout out is from 10-year-old Louisa. not Louise. Louisa, not Louise. All right, Louisa and Sophia, not Louise and Sophie. For the spelling of peculiar. Peculiar. She spotted a word at the end, which is really good. Let's see if you can spot this word. You've got 5 seconds. Here we go. You see it? The word liar. That's peculiar behaviour. Was that you? No, you liar. Come on. That's peculiar behaviour. Are you sure that wasn't? Is that really? Are you a liar? Are you lying to me? Are you being a liar? Lie at the end of a bit of peculiar. Really, really good. Excellent work. Tremendous link. Louisa. You got yourself a badge and a pencil, and of course, this shout out. Great stuff. Keep those shout outs coming. I love them. Now, today's lesson is lesson number 82. More homophones. More homophones. Levels 3 to 5. And Susie stories. We've got Lady Lex on today. Yeah! We love Lady Lex. Homophones. Words that sound the same. Homo is same. Phone is sound. Like phone, telephone. It's the same sound, but spelled differently. Not easy. What do you do with those? What do you do? I mean, what do you do? Let's show you what you do to these things. We're going to start off with advice and advise. Not quite a homophone because they're pronounced slightly differently, but people mix them up. Advice and advise. There's a C in the noun for ice, so C in noun for advice, and an S in the verb. All right. So let's check out what Sir Lancelot's done. Over to the link. Advice, the noun, and advise, the verb. The noun advice has a C, which is pronounced like an S, and the verb advise has an S, which is pronounced like a Z. English is most certainly a crazy, crazy language. There's a noun ice in the noun, and there's a verb is in the verb. Simples, simples, pimples, dimples, trimples, squimples. There's a noun in the noun, the noun ice in the noun advice, and the verb is inside the verb advise. Now you can ice something, it's a verb, it's quite rare, right? Is it in? You know it is. The next one up is quiet and quite. Quiet and quite. Again, not quite a homophone. What's this lesson called? Is it homophones or not, Sir Lancelot? It's pretty close, all right? Quiet and quiet. People again mix them up. They mix up the E and the T. They turn them around. Not sure which way to go. Oh, ooh, 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 ooh. Over to my link. Quiet and quite. The IET of diet finishes off the word quiet, and quit starts off the word quite. Santa's going to diet on the quiet, as he has a reputation to uphold, but will find it quite hard to quit the occasional mince pie. We do love a mince pie, and that was a fairly crunchy one, wasn't it? The next one is license and potato. Good one. License. License, the noun, it's got a C, and the verb has got an S, like advice and advise, the same thing. The advice has got a C, the noun, and S. The verb's got an S. What's... And also, practice and practice. We'll come to that later on. That's got a C and an S. In America, license, they have both the noun and verb as an S. And for practice in America, they both got a C. This is really hard. This is really tricky. License and license. What do you do? Over To my link. License the noun and license the verb. The two C's in the noun are the shape of wheels, and the present participle of the verb license, licensing, has the word sin in it. You need a driving license, that is a noun, to drive the car, that is a noun, and not licensing yourself to drive it is a sin. We love linking. Linking's great. We love it. A car, which is a noun. The two C's, the two wheels. There you go. Right, so the noun has got a C, or the two C's in the noun, two C's. Is it in? You know it is. The next one up is principle and principle. Ooh. Principle and principle. Again, different meanings this time. It's not noun and verb. They're two totally separate words with different meanings, but of course they sound the same. A homophone. Over. To my link. Principle, a leader, like a head teacher, and principle, a rule or value. Pal finishes off the word principle, and the PLE of please is at the end of the word principle. Don't call the principal of the school pal, and always say please when asking them for something, as a matter of principle. Hey pal, can I have the afternoon off? Excuse me? Please may I have the afternoon off, sir? That's better. And the answer is no. Don't call the principal, the head teacher, the leader, person in charge, don't call them pal. Unless their name is pal, of course. Oh, the next one up is practice and practice. The noun has got a C in it, and the verb has got an S, like advice and advise. Did I go down the same route? Have I done the identical link for practice and practice as I have done for advice and advise? Let's find out. Practice and practice. The second last letter of the noun practice is a C, and in the verb it's an S. The noun ice is in the noun, and the verb is in the verb. Practice and practice. What a classic. What a classic homophone that is. And the fact that it's spelled differently at the other side of the pond is interesting. I think it's great. Talking of interesting and all things words, you know what? It is a Lady Lex time, which I'm very, very happy with. Lady Lex, how are you today?
I am extremely well, thank you very much. Still sitting in the same spot without my cat. My cat's been making regular appearances recently, and it makes me think about the lovely link that we have for Q. Do you remember? And we have a Q because it comes from the French queue, meaning a tail, because it looked like a cat's tail. And I thought she could demonstrate this for us because she sometimes walks over my keyboard with her tail going like this. But next time.
Brilliant. Well, the Q is a great one. I don't know if you remember my link for it. It's a bit toilet humour. Have you seen it? You-we and you-we. Have you seen that one?
Yes, I have. You-we and you-we.
Yes. Children love it, obviously.
Because there's a Q for the loo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Exactly. It's a great, but your story behind it. And you've learned a French word. You've learned the French for tail.
You've learned lacquer. Is it lacquer or lacquer? Lacquer. But it's spelled like Q. Yeah, Q-U-E, U-E.
Yeah, so I love that. It's a great story. Right, now, your Bible, of course, is the dictionary, the Dicko. Now, yes. Firstly, I'm guessing, I did a bit of Latin years ago, that the word must originate from dicere, to speak or to say in Latin. It must do.
Yes, it does. And strangely, it also gave us dictator, somebody who sets down the law. But as you will know, Andy, that's exactly what dictionary makers don't do now. So a lot of people expect lexicographers, people who write the dictionary, to say, you can't say that's wrong, and you can say that. But actually, for many, many decades now, what dictionary publishers do is they have amazing databases of current language. So they have databases that will include newspaper articles, books, scholarly journals, transcripts of text messages, chat room conversations on the web, all sorts of material, written material and spoken material that's written down, will be fed into these databases, and they can see exactly how a word is being used. And from that, they will say, this is how a word is used. And if people are using it wrongly, so to give the example that I bring up all the time, if people are saying mischievous instead of mischievous, they will include that in a usage note. But eventually, if mischievous was to become so standard and so used by people, that in turn will be reflected in the dictionary. And that's how language evolves.
Well, do you remember we've had a bet about this? I said in 5 years' time. Remember this bet?
Yes. I don't think it's going to be that long. I didn't say 5 years, did I? Hope not.
Well, no, you said a certain time. I said, let's meet in the middle. Let's go with 5 years. I mean, okay, let's do the bet. Okay, so now which way around was it? I was saying it's going to be in there. Oh, no, I said it's not. I can't remember which way around was it.
I think I said in 20 years' time, I reckon mischievous possibly will be the standard.
That's what I said. It'll be there in 5 years' time. And you said, no, it won't be. That was the
I don't think it's that long. Well, we'll see. What did we bet, by the way?
Sorry?
Did we bet one of your pencils?
A badge and a pencil, I believe.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's a good one.
Yes. It could be. If you want to win this badge, I reckon your choice will be, I'm guessing, that one.
Oh, nice. Yes, please.
Of course.
I ought to be wearing that today, in fact. I'll do that for our next outing.
Now, the word dictionary itself, I'm guessing, again, I've got a bit of knowledge here, but you're way ahead of me. The first dictionary or official or whenever recorded, it's either Gutenberg or Caxton. Was it around the 15th century when the first dictionary officially was there?
Yes. So the first dictionaries were really alphabetical lists. So they were like glossaries, what we would call a glossary today, rather than the dictionaries that we know. So we've got someone called Robert Corddry who wrote an alphabetical table and kind of collected words together. But, you know, some of the very first dictionaries to be recorded or to be drawn up, I suppose, were dictionaries of criminal slang. So people would collect the words of criminals like highwaymen, or what they called cut purses, so people who would rob people in the street, and they would collect those and put those in the dictionary. And the idea always with slang, as we've mentioned before, is that it's a code, it's a secret code used by people to keep outsiders out. So if you're a teenager and you've got your slang that you use with your friends, you don't really want other people, particularly not your parents or teachers, to understand it. And the whole idea with this criminal slang is people couldn't understand it, but they wanted to. So it began to be collected in dictionaries as kind of useful ways of trying to decode what was being said around them. So really interesting. And, you know, when people say today, that's not a word, that's slang, why is it in the dictionary? We have to remember that actually slang has always been recorded right from the very start.
So really it was a record of slang. I suppose if you can talk and you can enunciate, you're very eloquent and you can speak easily, the words that need to be recorded, no, we know the words, we don't need them. So when there's words you haven't recognized, so really was it a book of slang initially then?
No, they were dictionaries, as you would expect them to be, as they didn't look anything like the way that they look today, but they were pretty much word lists. But then there were also slang collections, and then of course we had Samuel Johnson, the great dictionary maker, who gave us what sort of, I suppose, began to look like a modern dictionary. Except Samuel Johnson, this was in the 18th century, Samuel Johnson was he very much liked to express his own voice. So whilst dictionary makers today try to be very objective and to record, he would say things like a low, vulgar word that should never be spoken, or that kind of thing. Or if it was French, he might say he didn't particularly like that either. And sometimes he got them wrong. So he put down the definition of tarantula as an insect whose bite can be cured by music, because there was a belief that if you were stung by a tarantula, you could dance a dance called the tarantella until you fell over and then you would be cured. So very strange beliefs were reflected in the dictionary. It was very much a personal one. And the ones that we kind of know and recognized today didn't come till quite a long time after that.
Okay, right. That's of course, as always, interesting. Now, there are different Webster's, there's, of course, Chambers, OED, there's all sorts. Is there like a sort of cartel of, I've learned now with dictionaries, it's whatever's being said out there is being recorded. It's really a record of things. So, but you get these every year, or every few months now, maybe every quarter, you get which words are going into the dictionary. Now, I'm guessing that they have their own little committees and they decide what goes into their books. There's no like sort of agreement cartel. Let's all agree with these words. So there are different words in each dictionary. I know that with Chambers and OED, they're different sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah, they are quite different. So Chambers dictionaries were quite often used for Scrabble. In fact, probably still are used for Scrabble. And they contain quite often very obscure words, quite often obscure Scottish words, which are absolutely wonderful, but not of any use in regular life. There's one called Taghelm, which is using the intestines of a sheep to tell the future. That is in Chambers dictionaries. Great word for Scrabble. But there's no sort of overall agreement between the dictionary publishers. A lot of them have their own databases that they're using to draw up these definitions. As I say, the one that Oxford uses, for example, the Oxford corpus, has got probably 1 billion words in it or more. So each dictionary maker will be making their own choices. And yes, of course, there is an editor making the decision, but they are making that decision on the basis of evidence that a word is being used, that it's sticking around for a while, that it needs, that has a meaning that can be recorded. They can look at which words it's being used with, and they can look at existing words in the dictionary and see if they're changing. So they can look at, I mean, this is old now, old slang, but they could look at sick and they could see that it doesn't just mean vomiting, it actually means great. Another example of how slang, moves or changes. So they can look at all of this and then record it in the dictionary. And in the quarterly updates that you mentioned, important to mention, though, possibly that they're not going into printed dictionaries nearly as often as they go into the online dictionaries, because obviously online information can be updated all the time.
Did you say 1 billion words or 1 million?
Billion.
Billion? Surely not.
Yes. No. Yes. Look, I'm going to look it up right now.
Well, English words.
Yeah. Because we're talking about, I'm not talking about 1 billion head words. I'm talking about 1 billion words of information, like the journals, like the articles, like the transcripts. So not 1 billion head words. Yes. No, that would be quite something. I'm going to look in the Oxford. It's called a corpus. We like to keep things complicated. 2.1 billion in the Oxford corpus.
Right. And how do you spell corpus? What's that word?
It's called corpus, which is from the Latin for body.
Corpus. Okay, like
corporal and that kind of thing. But I think it's easier to envisage them as huge databases.
Right. Well, corpus also, you get the word corpse, a dead body, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Corporal, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, for you, I reckon, you tell me, your fascination of words is not just the words themselves, which is great, but the stories behind it. You must be, I reckon you're probably quite good at history of the last, I don't know, because I know some of your stories, you've got some good knowledge of just what's happened at the time in that period and what person, what country, what race. So your history must be, if you learn, what I'm saying is, if you learn the origin of words, there's a good chance you'll enhance your history as well, surely.
Yeah, it's a really lovely gateway into history. I'm not very good with dates, though. I can sort of give you a century, but I need some of Sir Lancelot's links for history dates. But yeah, it's a gateway into so many different things. Language is a gateway into what people were thinking at the time, what they were getting hung up about, what they were getting worried about, what they were getting excited about, what they really didn't care less about, what words made them squeamish. So remember, in the Middle Ages, people couldn't use any word that was kind of religiously offensive. And then later on, moving more towards our age, we don't like using words that are to do with weeing and pooing and death and that kind of thing. We're a bit squeamish about that. So you can see through language how people were viewing life at any particular time.
And that's, firstly, interesting. It's educating for you. It's brilliant. I love your story for sacrilegious is so cool. I thought it has to be religious, but it's not at all. It's sacri, sacred, and legere is to steal.
Yes.
and to steal a legend comes from that. That's a great one, isn't it? That's a classic. I thought it must be religious. It's not.
Yeah, no, and there's lots of false friends like that as well. And that's because so many of the Latin roots that we have look really, really similar. And I often fall into that trap as well, whereas I think, oh, it must come from the Latin for whatever. And then I realize, oh, hang on a minute. No, it comes from a different. So how the Romans coped, I'm not sure, because they had a lot of words that look the same or very similar.
Yeah, tough. I say not religious though. Sacri is still a sacred thing, so there is some connection, but it's not the sacrilegious. You think, and everyone spells it R-E-L-I.
I know. Yes, I know. Classic. And that's where the etymology can help.
Very much. So we're a winning team. But it's great. Yeah. And I wasn't a words person years ago. I never was. I was a maths man. I never read books. Nothing. So this is really, it's great for me. I love it.
It's never too late.
I was linking for English stuff, but it's opened my world. It's great.
Yeah, never too late to start reading either, so link a lot.
That's true. Was that a sort of an injunctive there? Was it sort of
No, that wasn't an imperative. It wasn't a command, but it was I'm going to lend you a few dictionaries of etymology and you can get lost in those.
I'm on it. It'll keep me quiet for a while, which is not a bad thing for people. Right, okay, let's do a couple of wonderful Susie stories, and they're both relevant. We're going to do the Susie story for Q, but also Indictment, because the story to do with
That's
dictator.
The Latin dicere again, and also predict. Remember, the dict with dicere is to say, if you predict something, you say it in advance.
Yeah, good one. Dicare's got a lot to answer for. It's brilliant stuff. So cool. Brilliant. Thank you for coming on. We love you all the best, of course, and we'll see you the next time.
Look forward to it. Bye.
That was Lady Lex. And over to two wonderful Susie stories.
Q is borrowed from a French word que with the same spelling, meaning the tail of an animal. A line of people looks just like the tail of a cat. I just can't get enough of gift shops. For the Romans, the verb dicere meant to say or tell. An indictment is an accusation read out or told in court of a serious crime. Dicere gave us many words in English, including dictator, someone who tells you what to do, predict, to say in advance, and, of course, the dictionary, which tells us all about words. All of these connections will help you remember that indictment has a T, even though it's silent. Shh.
Isn't Lady Lexicographer, just the best? She's fantastic. Oh, it's so cool to have her on the app. It's great fun. Right, that's the end of the lesson. I hope you enjoyed the show. Homophones, things, words that sound alike but are spelled differently. Really difficult. If you've got any good links like Sophia and Louisa, not Sophie and Louise, Sophia and Louisa, let me know. You can win yourself a badge or two and a pencil and a shout out. Here's a good one. Great one, homophone, nearly a homophone. Raven, remember, affect, verb, effect, noun. That's a really good one. Remember, affect, verb, effect, noun. They can be the other way around, but it's quite rare. Great link there. Love that. Then, of course, we've got Lady Lex herself. We love a Susie story. And we've got the man, of course. The name of the app is Salinka. Is it in? Oh, you know it is. Yeah.